Hello, hi guys, welcome back to Imperfectly Perfect. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? Virtual learning and how is it going for us? How is it affecting us? It plain old simple sucks, right? It's kicking us in the ass. Is a lot of mommy feels like a secretary. Mommy is constantly going to the kids' room and constantly checking, making sure that everybody is, online, in class, awake. One of the biggest challenges I want to say has to do with the fact that you have your bed 10 feet away from you, and it becomes this battle with yourself as to like, I'm in my room, I should be taking a nap, right? Especially when it's something that has been drilled into you, when it's something that we've practiced, where when we were in school. And we tried the whole back in school thing when they started reopening school. We tried to do it. It was just too much with high school. It was too much inconsistency, going to school every other day and every other day being virtually. Different times, it just doesn't work. When you're trying your best to have a sleep schedule that you're going to follow throughout the week, it becomes very difficult when you have to be physically in school every other day and every other day being virtually, because then that means when you physically have to be in school, you have to wake up an hour earlier, which means a mom has to wake up at least 2 hours earlier to get your ass up earlier, and that's not going to happen. We tried it didn't work with the little ones. Again, it was part-time. It was just not working. It's too much hassle. It's too much running around in the morning, and since our mornings usually begin a little bit earlier, especially for me, just because of the simple fact that I have to be at a certain level of awakeness, let's put it this way, before I can actually start trying, because I hear the alarms going off, right? I'm already awake and I start to hear different alarms. I know by the sound whose phone is going off, and then we have the bedroom alarms, which we have on the other side of the rooms, right? So that the kids can wake up. And I hear all these alarms going off, and you want to wait, right? And you want to wait until they get up, and it's like sometimes they're so deep in their sleep or so deep in their dreaming or whatever it is that they don't hear it. We've had a couple of occasions where I've slept. I've had those days where I sit up, and then next thing I know, it's like I find myself waking up and shutting off my alarm like 10 or 15 times, and by the time I actually get up, it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and me not getting up, when I finally get up, everybody else is still sleeping, and it's so funny. But it's just been challenging, because regardless of anything, right, even if I have my own personal issues with the way the school structure is, or what it is that they choose to learn, is besides the point, because the structure in itself, right, the having to wake up, the physically having to go and be somewhere physically, does help in some level, let's put it this way, when you're in school and when it comes to narcolepsy. I went to school, I went to high school, I went to college, everything without being diagnosed, which was very challenging. But I feel that the whole point of having to physically be somewhere, right, and having peers your age and etc etc etc, you push your body, or you push your limits. Whereas now they're home, they're comfortable. I'm constantly like, knocking in rooms and being like, hey, are you awake? Hey, are you in class? Because, I do get those messages from the teachers like, hey, so-and-so was in class, they weren't responding, or so-and-so was missing this class or that class. And I'm just like, you know what? I didn't go to school to be a teacher, not using it as an excuse, but when you have an invisible condition like myself, and now you add something else to the mix, which is education, not of yourself, but as for in other individuals, and now you have to be on top, not just their homework, but their actual schoolwork, like the entire day. That just adds up a whole nother... so I don't curse. But to be honest with you, it has been challenging. We have been just taking it one day at a time. And I tell the kids, like, especially the two that do have narcolepsy, I tell them, I'm like, I'm not asking you to go out there and get straight A's, even though I know that you're more than possible, more than capable of doing that. And it's not that I'm telling them that they can't do it. What I'm saying is that they need to know their limits, right? They need to know that sorry guys, I said in a stability bowl. If they had a rough night, or if they're having a day where they're having a hard time retaining or understanding, or a hard time with their speech or whatever it is okay to come up to me and be like, Mom, I don't think I can make it to school today, whether it's virtually or not, right? So it is that fine line where I feel they don't want to miss school because of the fact that they're home. So even if they had a rough night, or even if they're having a rough day, let's put it this way, they tend to kind of like try to push through. And I tell them not to, because I want them, that whatever it is that they do, excuse me guys, I want them to give 100% of themselves all the time. So I tell them, even though we're doing virtual learning, take it as if you were physically in school, right? If you wake up feeling like this, where you can't understand what I'm saying, or you're having a hard time with your speech, or you're having a hard time just understanding, grasping like basic things of how to brush your teeth or etc., then just be upfront with me and just be like, Mom, I can't make it today, right? Because I don't want you to show up to school, even if it's virtually, and then you're not paying attention, then I have a teacher up my ass. I'm not gonna lie, like, oh, I'm calling out their name, they're not responding, or I'm calling, yeah, they're not responding because mentally they're not there. Mentally at the moment they're freaking probably on their 20th nap of the day, or their dream of the day, without even realizing it. But because they don't want to let me down, or they don't want to let the teacher down, they're physically there but not mentally there, right? So it is definitely it's kind of like a blessing in disguise, I'm not gonna lie, because it does allow me to see some of the things, right, that were occurring in school. And because I'm their parent, right, I'm their mother, I'm able to identify them fairly quickly, right? So it's definitely going to help when they go back to school, because then I have more of a knowledge, right? Let's put it this way, of how it is that they actually do, like, they're in this freaking thing is moving all over. So this video is going to be like mass shaking. I do apologize. So I'm going to have obviously more knowledge of how it is that they interact, let's put it this way, with their schoolwork and etc. But I'm not going to lie, I am one of those parents that I can't wait for schools to be open full time again, because I need to be able to, it's been very difficult for me personally to be able to take my naps during the day, right? When I had gotten to a really good point where I was taking my schedule naps, right, based on what my sleep pattern was for, you know, that month or those couple of weeks. And now it's become very difficult, because now I find myself pushing myself to stay awake specifically between 7:30 a.m. and 1 p.m., which is when the kids are in school. You know, my eldest starts at 7:30, the other one starts at 9, and they go all the way through 1. And it's very difficult if you are up from 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, to be up until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So am I a little selfish? Yes, I'm a little selfish, but I also know that if I wake up at 2 in the morning and I can't get back to sleep because of whatever is going on, my insomnia is through the roof, and I stay up to wake up the kids, normally what I would normally do is by like 9:30, 10, I would take a nap, right? At least an hour, 40 minutes, depending on what my body needed that day. And now that is out the window, because now I have to try to force myself to stay up to make sure that everybody's staying in class. So that just affects everything else. Why? Because then what I know normally happens is I push my body, and then when I crash, I usually crash, and I crash hard. Meaning then, you know, we'll have like a Friday where I can't get up, I can't get out of bed, they'll end up missing school, and then Saturday and Sunday, I'm still trying to recover from the over pushing or the overdoing that I did to my body. So, you know, there are days where I just can't stay awake, especially again if this is like my third day in a row where I've been up from like 1 in the morning. Once it hits like 9, 10 and everybody is in class, I would take a nap, and I would go and tell them straight up, like, better than miss any class. And, you know, and I tell them like, hey, I'm really, like, I really can't stay up and babysit you today. And again, kids are going to be kids. If they can get away with anything, just think about when you were a child, right? If you could get away with anything, you're gonna get away with it, right? And unfortunately, it is something that I know they're tired of being home. I know, especially the girls, they want to get back to school. They want to see their friends and things like that. And it's an isolating type of the situation that, even though, yeah, they're virtually in school, they're still not socializing and all the other things that kids should be doing their age. So it is a challenge that we are, again, taking it one day at a time. Am I one of those parents that is rooting for schools to reopen full days? Yes, I am. Of course, there's other things that we need to talk about when that happens, but the structure of school in itself, I feel it does help when it comes to narcolepsy. So keep me in your prayers because it has been a challenge. I know that it will continue to be a challenge. I mean, we're going to wake up every single day. We're going to face it. We're going to do what we have to do. But it's not easy, guys. It's not easy as a single mom to have all that responsibility, all that burden on yourself. It is not easy when you're fighting yourself every day to just get up, right? When you're fighting yourself every day just to get meals done, just to get basic things done. So just imagine how tired I normally am, right? Just to get my normal day-to-day things done. And now I have, to take on that teacher role for 4 kids, right? It's been rough. And as much as I try to stay positive, as much as I try to just be like, yeah, we got this, there are days that are definitely overwhelming. And when those days are extremely overwhelming and my emotions get the best of me, I do the responsible thing and I put my ass down for a nap. And I tell the kids all the time, I'm like, you know what, mommy cannot right now. Mommy is like over super duper tired. Yes, I say it just like that, super duper 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 tired, over exhausted, and mommy needs some quiet time before she can cook, before she can do anything. Because again, a lot of people, may just be like, well, you're home. Yeah, I'm home, but it's not that simple, right? It is just not. I'm home obviously because of my condition. I couldn't work a regular job, and now you're asking me to add teaching to what I have to do on a daily basis, right? The things that I'm already having a difficult time with, right? I have to try to stay on a schedule as much as possible with the laundry, with everything, and as much as the kids help. When you have joint custody and the kids are not home during the weekend, it definitely adds to the dynamic, right? Where, okay, I need to be up on Fridays by a certain time so I can meet, so we can exchange the kids. I have to, you have 110 things on your mind. You're trying to compensate, right, for the lack of rest, for the lack of sleep. You're trying to be present, to be there, to not miss any moments or anything like that. And then it's like, something this big gets added to your plate. And I know that we've been doing virtual learning for over a year now, but because we did try going back to school, because we did try different things, I waited until now to make the video, right? Because I can't say, virtual learning started after the first week and be like, oh yeah, this is the best thing or this is the worst thing, because there's not enough time hasn't passed, right? You haven't learned enough, or you don't have enough time in that space to really have an opinion of it, right? If virtual learning was on our schedule, it would be the best thing in the world. Where they didn't have to sign in to be at a certain class at a certain time. Yeah, because then everybody will be able to do it when they're best awake, whether it is 1 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, right? But because we're still trying to follow a school structure or school time at home, it makes it more difficult, because again, they're literally like sitting here, doing their virtual learning, looking at their bed like I could be taking a damn nap. Because that's what I be thinking of when I be sitting there with them, like, I'm gonna lay in your bed for like 2 seconds while you do that, and then next thing I know, I'm taking a nap, and it's like 30 minutes later, I'm waking up, and I'm like, so did you finish your schoolwork? I know, guys. It is a challenge. It is something that, you know, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only parent that is there like, can we please reopen schools, or the only parent that is struggling. To all of you that are loving it, that are amazing at it, keep going at it. I do not hate you for it. If you want to go ahead and take on my 4 kids for your virtual school, go ahead and do so. But coming from a place of, with narcolepsy and the structure that is needed, let's put it this way, when it comes to school, and the struggles that I see the kids having when they're home is definitely hard. It would be easier, again, if we were homeschooling, which is different, where they could be on their own schedule, if that makes sense. I don't know. That's all I wanted to share, guys. Well, thank you. Have a good day. Mwah. Love you guys. Bye.